Have you ever felt like you were in the right place at the right time for a reason you couldn't yet see? Imagine being an orphan thrust into a royal palace, becoming queen, only to discover your entire people are secretly sentenced to death, and you might be their only hope. This is the incredible story of Esther, a woman of courage, faith, and divine destiny. Our story unfolds in the vast Persian Empire, ruled by the powerful King Xerxes. It all began with a lavish 180-day feast showcasing his kingdom's glory. At the height of this celebration, the king, probably a bit too merry, summoned his wife, Queen Vashti, to display her beauty before his guests. But Queen Vashti refused. This was a shocking act of defiance in that culture. Furious and embarrassed, King Xerxes consulted his advisors. They feared Vashti's actions would set a rebellious example for other women, so Vashti was deposed. The king needed a new queen. A decree went out. All the beautiful young unmarried women in the empire were to be gathered for the king to choose his new queen. Among them was a young Jewish woman named Hadassah, an orphan whose Hebrew name meant myrtle. She was raised by her loving cousin Mordecai and went by her Persian name Esther, meaning star. Following Mordecai's wise counsel, Esther kept her Jewish heritage a secret as she was taken to the palace. Esther was not only beautiful but also possessed a gentle and gracious spirit. She won the favor of Hegai, the king's eunuch in charge of the harem, and eventually she won the heart of King Xerxes himself. He loved Esther more than any of the other women, and he set the royal crown on her head, making her queen of Persia. What a journey! But Esther's destiny was far greater than just royalty. Meanwhile, Mordecai served as an official at the king's gate. One day, he uncovered a plot by two of the king's officers to assassinate King Xerxes. Mordecai told Esther, who informed the king, giving credit to Mordecai. The plot was foiled, and Mordecai's deed was recorded in the royal chronicles. Now, enter the villain of our story, Haman the Agagite. The king promoted Haman to the highest position in the kingdom and decreed that everyone should bow down to him. But Mordecai, a devout Jew, refused to bow to him. This wasn't just stubbornness. For Mordecai, bowing to any man in that way was a compromise of his faith and loyalty to God alone. Haman was filled with an all-consuming rage. He manipulated King Xerxes, claiming the Jews were a rebellious people with different laws. A decree was issued, sealed with the king's ring, setting a specific day, the 13th day of the month of Adar, for the destruction of all Jews, young and old, women and children. And can you imagine the terror and despair that swept through the Jewish communities? Mordecai tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and sent word to Queen Esther, urging her to go before the king and plead for her people. This was a life-or-death risk for Esther. Anyone approaching the king unsummoned could be instantly executed unless he extended his golden scepter. Esther was terrified. But Mordecai sent back a powerful, challenging message. Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Those words changed everything. With immense courage, Esther made her decision. She asked Mordecai to gather all the Jews in Susa to fast and pray for her for 3 days. Then she declared, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. What bravery! After 3 days, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court. The king, seeing her, extended the golden scepter. He asked her request. Instead of immediately revealing the plot, Esther wisely invited the king and Haman to a private banquet for just the three of them, and then to a second banquet the next day. In a remarkable turn of events, the night before the second banquet, the king couldn't sleep. He had the royal chronicles read to him and was reminded that Mordecai had saved his life but had never been rewarded. Just then, Haman arrived at the palace, eager to ask for permission to hang Mordecai on the gallows he had just built. The king asked Haman, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Thinking the king meant him, Haman described a lavish public parade. Imagine his shock and humiliation when the king ordered him to do all of that for Mordecai the Jew. The irony is almost unbelievable. At the second banquet, the king again asked Esther her petition. This was the moment. Esther revealed her Jewish identity and Haman's wicked plot to annihilate her. and her people. The king was enraged. When he learned Haman had even built gallows for Mordecai, the man who saved his life, he ordered Haman to be hanged on those very gallows. The king couldn't revoke his own decree, but he issued a new one, allowing the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies on the appointed day. And they did successfully. Mordecai was promoted to second in command, and the Jewish people established the festival of Purim to commemorate their miraculous deliverance, a celebration that continues to this day. Esther's story is incredible because God's name isn't mentioned even once in the entire book, yet his guiding hand, his providence, is clearly visible in every twist and turn. It shows how one person's courage, even in the face of overwhelming fear, can change history. Esther used her position, her influence, and her bravery for such a time as this. What does Esther's courage teach you? Let us know in the comments. If this story inspired you, please give this video a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe for more powerful Bible stories. Thanks for watching. Remember, you too might be in your current position for such a time as this. See you next time.